It's your boy Uncle Fred back in the house, back in the saddle one more again. It's on a Saturday, as we often have came every Saturday, giving you our position on sports. I'm with my main man TK. TK, you good today, man? We got some college football today. We're gonna talk about because the first set of games since the CFP initial rankings. But there's some pressing things going on in the world of sports that we're going to touch on this morning, and I think it's important that we talk about them because I think it affects how sports is viewed. It affects how people think about sports, and and the ability to maybe have a what may be considered a dissenting opinion. Uh, Opposite of what the masses may think is sometimes castigated. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about for a spell today as we get into our rest of our sports show. So TK, I'm gonna roll the thing over to you, and we're just gonna have a little discussion, and we'll see what you think about that, and just kind of just let us know, because I know you got some insight that us regular folks don't have. So, but I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna roll it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I want to just take time to respect that human being, um, Kyrie Irving. I know that's we're going to spawn the conversation from him, obviously, and before even making any type of perspective and point of view public, I just want to initially say, you know, that I personally will only speak from a respectful tone towards that human being and anyone else of that ilk. So, I, you know, I know we're going to discuss this as we should, and you know, sports heart a little heavy today. It is. As you know, as an avid NBA fanatic um, that I am, it's I wake up today and it's disheartening. It's very disheartening um, what's going on in that situation, at least how it's playing out publicly. Um, to be honest, I don't respect it. I don't. Um, I'm not much of a fan of, you know, necessarily hopping on, you know, mass agendas or subplots or things of that nature. So, there's no boycott the NBA for me personally, but I can't say I won't be, watching much of that right now, if at all, just because, I found it real interesting that, here we are Saturday morning and NBA games were played last night. I did not watch any, but I did kind of hang around the social sphere looking for somebody, anybody amongst his peer group to simply ask the question that I had in all of this that has occurred in the past few days of this week, irregardless of your vantage, point of view, uh, disappointment, encouragement, advocation, whatever side you lean on in that situation, the most important thing that I think was missed majorly, maybe even deliberately in many cases for many platforms,
It probably is deliberate.
is that conversation deserves our attention as a whole. And to me, basketballs shouldn't have been thrown out in the middle of 94 feet last night. and somebody should have said that. You know, there aren't always opportunities like this one where topics and moments in time sort of represent more than just the norm or the usual. The usual is basketball is being played, we watch it, we like it, we enjoy it, it's entertainment. And then there comes a time when there's an opportunity to have more reach. And for something that's, you know, presented as progressive in those ways, you would think when an organic opportunity um, comes to the forefront to do just that, that, you know, that opportunity would be seized. And it hasn't been to this point. And it's very, very disappointing to me personally. Um, to be even more candid and clear, I don't really care what Kyrie's personal opinion about a group of people is. Saying that to say, I think what really matters here is that you see an individual who resonates with a lot of people, both in that sport, but mainly outside of that sport, who live everyday lives that are trying to understand and know more about themselves. And in doing that, in that quest, there will undoubtedly be mistakes, mistakes that other people have the privilege of making outside of the public sphere, outside of the public criticism. And, you know, those people have to be represented in this situation as much as the people who are clearly being represented, um, you know, amongst the major discourse. It's both ways. We have a history of atrocity too, and we all need to speak about it. And it needs to become okay and no longer taboo to say, hey, sometimes something matters a little more than it normally does. And here's an opportunity where, you know, one of ours may have stepped in it a little bit, but was his intention what they say it is? And I don't think it was.
Mm.
What I do think
Mm.
is what I'm saying, that that's an individual looking for answers. That's an individual who has questions. There's an opportunity not to meet behind closed doors and be told what to think, but rather bring the conversation to the forefront. Let's put that basketball down for a week or two, and let's all discuss and let's all really come together and have conversations that can progress everybody forward. Because it's a grave disservice to be dismissive of what Kyrie Irving is actually trying to get to, which is some sentiment or some semblance of understanding for himself about himself. That resonates with a lot of people in this world today. And so to publicly chastise him in the manner that I've seen, you know, I personally won't spend a bunch of time, you know, overexerting or highlighting, you know, the talking points of people who get paid to do that in that manner. Um, you know, they're kind of over there as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's the peanut gallery to me. The more important thing is our youth have to understand that, you know, we we have to demonstrate that we care more about ourselves than just being entertained.
Mm. Mm. Good stuff. That's good
We
right
have
there.
to actually demonstrate that. You have to show that. So again, when a moment like this one comes into play, I really don't care what Kendrick Perkins' opinion on TV is. Where's the summit? Who's asking for it? It would be nice if Jaylen Brown can say, hey, I and several of my peers, and I'm using him as an example, not to single him out.
Right,
Hey,
right.
me and a few of my peers want to put together an open conversation platform and forum at anywhere, you name it, Morehouse. And we want to invite everybody of different subscriptions, different ethnicities, different viewpoints and beliefs. And we want to create a panel where everyone has representation. And let's really discuss this matter. And let's take a second away from just playing basketball. And let's get to the bottom, because if we don't do that, then what message is being sent? And to me, a message is being sent without those people stepping forward and asking for something of this iteration. Hey, your thoughts, your ideas, your questions, they don't matter. That's not a Kyrie Irving problem. I hope everyone recognizes if that's the disposition of people who are responsible for presenting your entertainment to you, that means they don't care about you
Mm.
and your pursuit of education, information, and just a general knowledge base about yourself, your heritage, your ancestry, things you don't know. And if that's being deplatformed, if that's being ostracized, if that's being removed, then what does that tell you about where this thing is headed? And just the unwillingness to have equal discourse is obviously going to be pointed out. It's going to be stripping for perspective. Um, but once all of that is done, I think there's an even more pressing matter about the situation that, hey, not only is it disappointing that no athlete is willing to ask for a conversation to be held, but it shows a certain complicit
Mm-hmm.
disposition that says, hey, okay, you on your own, you're on your own there. And I'm not sure how positive of a message that is to be sent from a league and from people who have been positioned as spheres of influence in our society and our culture, and have openly, more recently, in the past 10 years, become far more of a demonstration, um, an activism based group of people with influence. And so to not have that same disposition here, very, very, very indicative. And I, you know, I can't personally support that. Um, I would never get into the semantics of religious subscription. Um, and I don't know that man's intentions, Kyrie Irving's intentions. But I think that's also the problem here, is that if we're going to, I'm not including myself, but just for conversation, if we're going to, you know, sort of put a person in an isolated corner and say, hey, you over there because of the way you think, because of how you feel about certain things pertaining to your own heritage, then I think, that's not a good sign of where we're headed.
Very true. Very true. Very true. Thought it was interesting how they've kind of funneled what he was saying into a certain context, if you understand what I'm saying. So like they funneled it into, you're being anti-Semitic. That's, don't want to get all too into that, but that's what they were trying to say. And so it put him in a defensive, like, wait a minute. Nobody's saying, and then once that threshold got breached, it's like you didn't hear nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Once you got to that, once you hear that, I'm turned off about everything else that's going on, because you said that, like, oh no, that's like a hot button thing. And it's like, and that's kind of how we are as a society. We're simple thinkers, and once a certain thing is said, no, we'll just dismiss something and not really listen to what was said. Once a certain thing gets said or gets leaked out, or just it's inferred. I think that's the way we want to look at it. Inferred. It was suggested that that's where he was going with that. And so once you said that, man, it's like you burnt all the bridges. It's like, no, we're done. We're done. And so and I thought that was unfortunate, because from everything I have seen of him, especially in his journey, because as I'm watching him, he seems to be on a quest of knowledge, of things, of self. I know he's trying to rekindle or his ancestry with his Native American, because I think his mom was Native American, and there's some heritage there. He was trying to trying to reach out and understand. And and we're always, if you're a human being, you always should be in a quest for knowledge, understanding where you came from, what your people are like, what are your all of those things, because that kind of makes who you are. And in the process of discovering self, you, like you said, sometimes you make mistakes as you trying to figure out self, but it ought not, it's like we talk about in society, if somebody makes a simple mistake, it ought not cost you your life. If you make a mistake along, like in the quest of like self-discovery or it ought not cost you your career, or ought not cost you your, because you ought to have an opportunity to, hey man, and because none of us have gotten it right. And I've been here a long time, and a lot of times I ain't get it right. I'm gonna be honest with you. So, but that's just some good information and good topics, man. Because and this is really bigger than really sports, because sports is really like a side issue. It's like something we really don't have to have, but it's sort of like we like to have it, but it's things that are bigger than that. Because when the final whistle goes off in those games or whatnot, we got to go back to living the life we live. And what environment are we going back to once we file out of those stadiums or switch off the TV set? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm fully understanding that whole thing. So
yeah, and I thought it was very, very distasteful again, I understand, the deliberate nature of things,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought it was very distasteful the way that people asked for him to expound, and once he did, there was a very dismissive tone and posture to what was actually said. See, the interesting thing is, I think I just heard you do it, and I've heard a lot of people do it in the past few days, and it's understandable because we're hit with so much. I'm gonna call it propaganda or buffoonery on syndicated platforms or better that makes it suggest that he's actually said something. And it's like when we go back, Kyrie Irving never originally said anything. So when you do get in front of him and he does expound, that is him speaking about the matter. So what did he speak about? He spoke about the genocide committed on his ancestry and his people. And for people to be totally dismissive of that, I think now we're showing the type of disingenuous and even hypocritical uh, mass consensus viewpoint that wants to throw away people when they raise relevant questions. I take full responsibility for the things that I've done to offend people. Paraphrasing, but that's what Kyrie Irving said. And because two things can be true at the same time. Where were you when I was learning about my ancestry and what happened to my people and 300 million of my people being buried underneath the land we walk on today? Who wants to have that discussion? Because they both matter. It does matter to offend people of that particular practice of Semitism. It
Yeah.
also matters to be willing to show empathy and understanding and a willingness to learn about what happened to those people buried underneath this land.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Very true. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff, man.
I, like I said, I'm very disengaged from the NBA in particular at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know when that's going to change. I'm very disappointed that there hasn't been much of a support group publicly around him. Um, we can't throw away one of ours, man. We can't do it. That's not a heinous individual. That's from the outside looking in, granted. But we're not talking about. Come on, let's be for real. We're not talking about the worst of the worst here. We're talking about someone who, at worst, holds a certain point of view that's controversial and potentially harmful to other people. At best, we're talking about someone who's a father, a role model, a leader, a curious, inquisitive individual looking for insight and knowledge. And you don't throw away that. Because if you throw away that, then what does that say to our future and our youth? The idea that you're not allowed to want to learn more about the world, about yourself, about anything. It's not a good message. I can't support, you know, I'm just one person, but this one person can't support a tone deaf lack of, you know, civic duty. It's a civic duty as far as I'm concerned. For those people in that league who serve as peer group, uh, friends, colleagues, Kyrie Irving, you gotta put the basketball down for a second, man. Because what's happening to him is no good. And what type of precedent are we setting?
All right. That's good. I think what you're saying is how they should look at that is that, hey, what's happening to him could very well happen to you. I mean, that's you know, if you're a thinking person, you're like, wait a minute, you know, if I don't think along with the masses of what they tell us to think, this would happen to me. So, you know,
One,
that's
yeah, because
yeah,
it's not about sports.
right.
And that's the thing, is like we have to allow sports, and sports is entertainment.
What it is.
We have to allow entertainment to fall in its proper pecking order in our world. And entertainment should never trump the opportunity for progression for an entire people. Never. You can put that basketball down for a week and let's deal with something serious.
Yeah. That's good, man. That's it.
Yeah, man. That's if we're gonna live in a society where you can't ask questions,
Right. That's right.
I don't know where we're going at that point.
It's good, man. Uh, look, folks, I told you, dude was an ocean, you know, in terms of thought, in terms of insight on stuff. You know, hey, that's why I lean on him on a lot of perspectives of stuff on different things. Uh, and it was very good to kind of and we basically, well, and really we just, you know, for just a few minutes we just scratching the surface on this, but it's just making things aware to people, you know, that, like I said, sports, we tend to make it bigger than it really is, and what we really ought to do is sort of like make, you know, just the values in the sport apply to life, but many times we make the sport life itself, and it's really that really takes it out of its place, and it becomes, you know, ahead of, you know. So as a man, I should be looking at, you know, how can I be a better husband? How can I be a better father? How can I be a better role model? How can I be a better person? These sorts of things. But many times we'll put that on the shelf to watch a game, you know, and let a lot of those other things, you know, fall through the cracks or whatever. So and it's all about priorities and perspective. So it's good
Yeah,
stuff, man. Good stuff. Good
and
stuff.
I because I know we're going to move forward and talk about sports, but I think to the point of what you just said, there's a proper place for that. We do use sports and entertainment as an opportunity to put our dad hat on the shelf for a second, for a couple of hours, and just enjoy something. To put our responsibility in society hat on the shelf for a second and just enjoy a basketball game or a football game. And to me, there's a place for that. But at the same time, it should never trump opportunities like the one at hand with the current situation with Kyrie Irving, those opportunities, because my thing about it is like people are going to talk about it anyway, and people are talking about it. And there's a lot of irrational, misplaced discussion. There's a lot of pitting against one group against another, one opinion against another. So discussions being had, but it's not necessarily productive or progressive.
Not healthy. Not
And
healthy discussion.
and that's where I'm like, hey man, you know, you guys got to set the precedent. Set a precedent and be the people that say, hey, let's take a step back here to take a step forward. And instead of a lot of isolated, dissenting, dismissive, negative discourse around a topic that affects us all, let's actually have a progressive one and be productive. And then let's get back to playing basketball. But let's not throw one of ours away, and let's not throw away an opportunity to use that situation to make all of us more informed, more empathetic, and more intentional about what we need to do to maintain or develop new ideas and new precedent that can always keep everybody in mind in a respectful way. Um, you know, I, I'm not. I know why certain things are not happening, so I'm not going to, ask the the question, in that type of manner, like I see people doing. We know why Amazon is not going to be criticized. We know why, you know, a particular religious group with a lot of influence is going to exercise said influence when they see fit. We know
Mm-hmm.
why things are happening. So, we don't have to have that snarky conversation around that. It's just like, again, those people aren't who we should be concerned with to me. To me, is about what are the people talking about? What are we talking about? Everyday people who support these things, who allow these things to grow. We're consumers of it. So what are we gonna do and expect when matters like this truly arise? I think sometimes some things get a little staged, um, to put lightly. But I think here's an example of something that's pretty organic. And so I really think that, that individual being because I hate the term martyr, but I know people will use it. That individual being, some sort of martyr for a cause that's not understood, it just doesn't sit right with me. And it doesn't sit right with me with the assumption that people in your peer group agree with you, in the sense that agree with that there's more conversation to be had. Whether you agree with his particular stance, which is still not clear about any of this. What is clear is that that person has said to me what should matter when it comes to trying to scurry the conversation into one, controlled setting about a particular group of people. Once that person says, I have no discrimination against any group of people, have no hate towards any group of people. That to me, once we've done that, we've covered that ground. So I
Right.
understand those people are going to try and continue
That discussion. Yeah.
discussion even
Yeah.
when it shouldn't be.
Right.
But what about the people who you understand why they're doing that? Not to be reactive to it, but to say, hey, they're doing that. That's the peanut gallery. But what are we doing? Because we be actually having the progressive conversation amongst ourselves to create an environment where those people, Kyrie's peers, can feel more comfortable saying, "Hey, I wanna put basketball away for a second and talk about this because I want to know. I want to be more informed. If I have held viewpoints that would be considered this demonstrative, and maybe I have, I want to have more perspective as why I shouldn't do that. I also want to feel like the perspective I have about my heritage and my history is going to be acknowledged and understood as well with same empathy. And can we all get to that point? You know, that's missing in this discourse to me. And, you know, I couldn't just click on league pass like I normally would and have my pick of basketball. It didn't sit right with me, and it's not going to right now. So
For a while, yeah.
you know, love the sport. I love the art of it. Some things is just bigger than that. But that's my piece. I appreciate you, bringing the conversation to the table. And again, for sake of time efficiency and respect to the platform, I know there's way more to talk about and more details. But you know, I think just what was said, I just want to leave it right there, if you don't mind.
All right, man. All right. Definitely a lot of good food for thought. It's a lot to marinate on with that. And so that being said, man, I would encourage everyone that's listening or tuning in and logging in and what they normally do each Saturday to kind of take heed to that and just kind of um, apply that what we just discussed. And because it's bigger, a lot of things are bigger than the sport that we watch, and we let that consume us, but it's really more to it, and we really want to try to be the best people that we can be in the society we live in, and there's opportunities to become better and to be understand things better, and so hope that you would take heed to some of that. So all right, man. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I gave you that platform to do that because I know you got a lot to say about a lot of things, man. That's why I told folks. I mean, he don't think he don't have some poignant things because he does. So that's why I always look at you. What kind of perspective you got on that? So let's go ahead and let's just kind of like do these picks. We're just gonna kind of just bring them up and just deal with them. And let's see here. Yeah. All right. So we've already gotten to week 10 of the college football season, which means you got about 3 weeks left. And so we got a bunch of games today, but we only picked out 4 because I thought these are the 4 that were of most significance as we move towards the playoff. As we know, on Tuesday they had the initial playoff rankings, and a surprise to a lot of folks. They made Tennessee number 1, Georgia 2, I think Ohio State 3, and I think Clemson was 4. And then Michigan. And I think a lot of people were surprised by that. And then Alabama 6, and then TCU 7. So of these 7, I picked I picked 4 games, which picked 4 of those 7 that are playing, and I didn't include Michigan and Ohio State because they were playing teams that were they favored to win by like 30 points over. So I didn't want to pick a boat race. I think Michigan is playing Rutgers, and I think they're favored by like 26 points or something like that. And I think Ohio State is playing like Northwestern. They're favored by like 38 or something like that. And I'm like, I'm not fooling with them. But the first game we're gonna look at, and a lot of people may not know a whole bunch about, is TCU and Texas Tech. We haven't done a whole lot of Big 12, but Texas Tech and Texas Christian. Texas Christian is currently 8-0 and are threatening to crash the party, which is normally made by the SEC and the Big Ten and sometimes the ACC. But we usually think of Big 12. We think of like Oklahoma. They'll make a cameo appearance here or there, but they've kind of fallen on hard times. And then we got TCU, which is number 7, which is I think they're 8-0, trying to go 9-0 for the first time in 12 years. And they're playing Texas Tech, which is 4-4. But that's a scary 4-4 team, and a lot of those teams in the Big 12, they got abilities to move the football and score a lot of points. And I always think that poses a problem for a lot of teams because most of those teams have potent offenses, and in order to compete in the Big 12, you got to have your offense has to be potent, and a lot of times your defense ends up kind of lacking a little bit. So, I think Texas Christian or TCU is favored by 8 points as a home favorite. I guess I'm gonna go with the favorite. I'm gonna go chalk. I guess I'm gonna go Texas Christian, TCU to win that. A lot of people don't know a whole lot about Texas Tech, but like I said, they got like the I think the second most efficient offense in the Big 12, and like I always find these little nuggets. I think they have thrown the most interceptions. I think they've thrown like 15 interceptions, which I think is an alarming amount of interceptions for a team to have thrown. That means you're putting the ball up a lot, but they also average 87 plays a game, which means they move and so if you move the ball quick, you make mistakes. So and then they also have given like 30 sacks, which is tied for the most in like Power 5 schools. So I think it's like feast of family. He's gonna get a touchdown, we're gonna throw a pick, and it's gonna be a pick 6, or we're gonna get sacked. But I got Texas Christian winning because they're the favorite, and I think they're a good team. I think there's going to be another game down the road. They'll probably lose. They'll probably knock them out. That's just me saying it from seeing it from past references. But I got TCU winning that one. And like I said, I don't have much more to say about that than that. So I'm gonna pick TCU.
Yeah, TCU. Still wanting to catch. I've only watched them once this season, so I'm being transparent. They did look good the game I did see, but kind of wanted to see them. That was earlier in the year. Kind of wanted to see them play out a little more and see if they were legit. They seem to be. As we get down the home stretch of the season, they're still alive. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, let me make them appointment television then. But in this game, I do think I agree with all your points. I think they take care of it at home. A couple big games left for them.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see them, losing this.
Before we move on, I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention Max Duggan. I think that's his name, quarterback. 2,200 yards, 22 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Last week against West Virginia, threw for 341, 3 touchdowns, one of his 2 picks. and they had to come from behind to beat them. But he's having a season enough folks ain't talking about. They talk about C.J. Stroud and Will Levens and other quarterbacks, but Max Duggan is having a great season. It'd be remiss to not even mention him.
I'd actually be, assuming they can keep the momentum going with their season, I would be totally shocked if Max Duggan wasn't, a Heisman candidate.
Yeah.
He's got that stud receiver over there, Quentin Johnston. They're getting stuff done, man. So, kudos to them, man. TCU.
42 catches, 650 yards, and a touchdown. And they got a nice thing going over there, man. They got a nice thing. So we both going with TCU on that. And they move on to 8-0 or 9-0. All right, next game, we're gonna step into the SEC for a minute. We got Tennessee traveling to Athens, Georgia, to play the Georgia Bulldogs. The number one Tennessee Volunteers, according to the CFP rankings, going to Between the Hedges to play the Georgia Bulldogs. This is going to be an interesting game because I think, Tennessee's getting ready to find out what it feels like to be the hunted. They kind of been a team that sort of snuck up on some folks this year. They sneak up on me because I seen them earlier. I said, hey, they got a nice little thing going. It might even beat us, but I said, no, they can't surely not going to beat us. I'm like, whoa, they beat us. What the heck is going on here? And then, I followed that up with a nice win over Kentucky last week, a border rival. And now you going, as the number one ranked team, you going to a tough place to play at Athens, Georgia, to play the Georgia Bulldogs, the defending NCAA champs. Kind of retooled on defense, coming back with some of the same players on offense, but some different players on defense. It's gonna be an interesting game, man. Jalen Hyatt, should be in the running for the Biletnikoff Award. Is the top receiver. He should be in the running for that. Of course, you got Hendon Hooker's probably going to be a Heisman finalist. Is just has a great command of his offense. Can't rattle him. I think he has like one interception all season, and just and if he gets pressured, he can take off and run and can get you 6, 8, 7, 8 yards, and he can make pretty much all the throws. I like Hendon Hooker. And he's going to be playing on Sundays. It's good size. He's like 6'3", about 220. And, that being said, man, I just think they're going to have trouble winning in Georgia. That's a tough place to play, man. And if I'm gonna have to pick, man, I guess I'm gonna pick the Georgia Bulldogs. But man, I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee wins that one. It may be setting up a showdown in about a month from now. And if all things fall according to plan here, we'll see what happens there. But I'm gonna take the Bulldogs, but wouldn't hurt my feelings if Tennessee won that one and kind of set up a showdown, because I'd like to see if we can get some get back.
Yeah. Well, were you done? I don't want to.
Yeah, I'm done.
Gotcha. Yeah. All due respect to Bama, man. I know this is a Bama channel.
Not really. I just I'm a Bama follower, but I'm not. It's not a Bama channel. We talk about everything, so it's fine.
I think this is Tennessee's toughest challenge yet, easily. Going into Athens, man, they're playing, to me, a better team. I know the CFP rankings have them at number one. And, you get a win over Bama, and Bama's highly respected in that regard. And strength of schedule helps them land the number one spot. But as far as I'm concerned, that afternoon game today, That's your toughest challenge you're going to see outside of the college playoffs. So, you know that I've been a non-believer of UT football for a long time, man. I do like what they're doing this year. They're a solid team on both sides of the football. They give up a lot of points at times, but they can give it back. And, you know, sometimes that's the key to winning. And you know, they found the formulas thus far. Even when other teams run it up, they match that energy and they get the win. That's what matters. So having that type of confidence in them is important in a game like this, where Georgia definitely has the ability to run up a score. We know that. But we also have seen from UT they can keep up.
Yeah.
Probably just as dynamic on offense, actually. So I think I'm going to end up with the same performative explanation as you, to say a bunch of things just to end up with I still got Georgia. But you know, I did want to show UT some respect.
Yeah.
Something I've been a little reluctant to do because I just expect disappointment from them. But you know, that Alabama win was very impressive, and they've been consistent all year. So don't want to totally dismiss them in this game, but I do have Georgia. But I think, you know, as far as just games go, this is going to be one of those ones, one of the better games of the season happening today. So that's exciting. And give me Georgia. And I know you want that rematch, that get back, but I think a familiar foe is more likely than Georgia.
Yeah. we gotta compete. We gotta do our part first, though, before that even happens.
Absolutely.
Look, man, I would be remiss if we talking about Georgia. We really didn't talk about them. They got a tight end, man.
I talked about him early in the year, man. I know. I remember this because I remember bringing him up maybe like week 2. Like,
yeah,
saying like, okay, I'm gonna keep up with it. But since then, for real,
that Brock Bowers is something else, man. That he is a matchup nightmare, man. And he not gonna block you too much, but you can't cover him.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it, man, is like they have 2 guys.
Right.
So they have Brock Bowers, who's amazing and extremely versatile, and kind of is like a more refined Taysom Hill to me. He just plays like you feel like he can do anything.
Right.
I haven't actually seen him throw a pass, but he just has like the type of demeanor with the way his skill set is set up. Is like I could just see him doing a lot for offense. You know, working him in all types of ways. You know, type of guy that would thrive in a Shanahan type of offense, you know, or
might even see him throwing a pass.
Exactly. Yeah, he definitely gives me that type of vibe, man. So, that's him. But then they also, you know, if that's not enough for you, we got a big 6'7" tight end who can run like a receiver, 6'7", 270. Good luck with that. You know, so yeah.
What's the kid's name?
I forget his name, and I hate that I forget his name because he's so freaking good. And I want to respect him.
I think what we're really trying to say, Georgia is talented, man. It means something to be talented without a lot of flair. It's just interesting that you can be talented, and it's sort of like, you know, whereas Tennessee is talented and flashy, talented and like kind of like they, you know, Georgia just kind of methodical, just kind of do their thing. Offensive lines are strong, defensive lines are strong. What's the quarterback's name? He just efficient. He just does his job. He don't wow you or nothing. He just does his job. You know,
Stetson
Bennett. He just does his job, man. You know, so it says something to be good and just, and he's like, oh dang, he just did that. And it didn't really, and they just do that. And it's like a day at the office for them. And that's just how the way they do their job. It's just a day at the office. They bring in their briefcase and laptop, and they just go to work and go home and look up. Dang, they beat us 38-3, and that's just how Georgia does.
That's how they do. That is exactly it. They just come in, lunch period, get it done, and keep moving. His name is Darnell Washington.
Darnell Washington. Good pickup. Darnell Washington. Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers. So I guess Georgia's gonna be running a lot of what we call 12 personnel with the 2 tight ends. It's real hard to stop, man. That's real hard to stop.
Yeah, I mean they've been doing it all year.
Yeah.
I don't even think Brock Bowers is. I think Brock Bowers and Marvin Harrison are like the prime model examples of hey, NFL, NCAA, can we revisit the eligibility, 3-year eligibility window? Because those 2 guys are ready to go right now.
Ready to go right now.
Another
Brock Bowers, sophomore, right? Because he was a true freshman last year. He was, got some, scored a couple in the championship game. I'm like, dude, you guys, you can't cover that dude. He's just whooping them dudes, them linebackers and safeties, just killing them.
So we got those 2 guys, man, should be playing on Sundays.
Darnell Washington. Okay. I'm gonna be watching him. Darnell Washington. Huh?
Yeah, well, Darnell Washington is such a specimen, but he moves really well. And that's what I noticed early in the season. It's like, obviously you see a guy that big catch a pass and it's like, hey,
right.
But then I keep watching their games and it's like, man, his movement is so fluid. Like scouts are gonna love him.
Right.
They're gonna love him. He's a guy that you'll see in April, man. He's gonna end up being taken a lot higher than and faster than you may think for a guy that coming out of nowhere, essentially. But that dude has some real potential, man. So Tennessee got their hands full. Said all that to say that.
Yeah.
Georgia has, running back by committee.
Yeah.
Backfield that just gets the job done. They got 2 tight ends that can flip a field. They're just rich in talent on both sides, man. I think UT winning that game in Athens, if that were to happen, I mean, that's the number 1 team in college football, man. No question.
When you said something earlier, said no disrespect. Now, it really not no disrespect too, because beating Alabama in your building, beating I would call a very undisciplined Alabama team in your building. I mean, it's a task. But going to Athens and winning at Georgia, with all the fans against you and winning, that's a little tougher task. So that's like, that's a tough one. Not to say what that team is better than that team, but beating Alabama at home is a lot easier than beating Georgia on the road. That's just 2 different levels of games, especially a game where Georgia didn't heard all week. But man, Tennessee, man, they finna unseat y'all. And they've been hearing that. Oh, okay. We finna see what this is about. We it's like what Motel 6. We'll leave the light on for you. We'll leave the light on for you.
Oh yeah.
Go in, have a seat. We're gonna talk about this thing.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's gonna be a physical matchup.
Yeah. So we both got Georgia. Okay, next game. It's got some significance. Because a lot of people were upset that Clemson got where they got, because Clemson kind of has been underwhelming this year. And I thought maybe a lot of people thought that Clemson kind of got some, got the name on the front of the jersey love because we Clemson and got pushed up above some other teams. So we got Clemson at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's was come off a little sluggish at the beginning of the season. Offense wasn't how it had been sort of under Brian Kelly. Now we got Marcus Freeman, more of a defensive guy. And the defense, that defense, I think held like Ohio State, like what 21. I think it's that lowest point total of the season. And they was kind of fortunate to win that, but it's just that Notre Dame didn't have enough offense to stay with them, and they hadn't really found their offense, and they still are not really that offensively gifted. But they got a tight end too, man. I don't know something about tight ends, man. I like tight ends.
Michael Mayer is his name.
Yeah. I was calling him Michael Meyer, because this guy through Halloween. I was calling him Michael Myers, but it's Michael Mayer. Dude, 6'5", 260, blocks, catches. I like a tight end that can block too, the all-purpose. It's like when we talking our NFL games, everybody likes Kittle and Kelsey. I always go Mark Andrews because he does all of that stuff. And then in order for Lamar to do what he does, he has to be able to block and hold his blocks, and he does that. So this dude here, Michael Mayer, who's got 47 catches for 580 yards and 6 touchdowns. A couple of weeks ago against UNLV, he had 6 catches for 115 yards. And then BYU, a couple of weeks before that, he had 11 catches for 118. He's just hard to guard and hard to cover. He's just big and strong. It's hard to cover. And that's pretty much their offense. And so I don't know, but but Notre Dame has some dudes on defense too. That's the thing. They got a guy named I want to say it's I want to pronounce this dude's name right. Isaiah Foxy, I think it's Foxy. It's a defense that's going to be playing on Sundays. And see, I think Clemson can be had. Now I know they led DJ. I'm gonna see if I can say his name right.
Yeah.
Ugalele.
I was definitely about to butcher it. Still gonna butcher it, by the way.
Yeah, he came in with that crop of quarterbacks back in 2020 with C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, DJ Ugalele. And of those three, he kind of underwhelmed, sort of. He had that nice game against Notre Dame a couple of years ago when Trevor Lawrence was out, threw for 439 and 2 touchdowns against Notre Dame, lost in double overtime. But it looked like Trevor's going to have, be able to turn this thing over to a dude that can do what he was able to do. So a lot was expected of him. And he's had an okay season. He's thrown for 1,800 yards and 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Got benched a couple of weeks ago against I think it was against Wake Forest. Got benched, and they had to come back and win that. So I don't know. I'm not really impressed with Clemson. And I think Notre Dame is starting to find their offense. Their defense has been strong all season. I think Notre Dame, they're playing at Notre Dame too, I think Notre Dame could get them. I'm calling for the upset here because I think Clemson's kind of been skating all season. A lot of teams are really supposed to have beaten them, and somehow they'll make a boneheaded play late, blow a coverage late or something, and they don't, and they let them off the hook, as Denny Green said. They let them off the hook. I got Notre Dame winning this one, man, in an upset, man. That may be the first upset I'm gonna call today. And I got Notre Dame winning that one. Like I said, I'm not impressed with Clemson this year. Have not been.
Well, you beat me to it, man, because that's exactly where I was going. DJ Ugalele.
Yeah, that may be better. I'm gonna let you say it from now on. You got it better than me.
Yeah, man, he's been pulled from multiple games this season. And I do understand his backup, his understudy, is the number 1 quarterback recruit coming out in his class, Klubnik. So, I do understand the call for wanting to see him when DJ struggles. But the point is, the guy at the head of the snake has been, shaky at times, man. So it's kind of like they, to your point you already made, they've been teetering towards a loss all season. And
Mm-hmm.
I think finally here's where the buck ends, and they finally, it catches up to them.
Yeah.
It'll be a gritty game. I think Notre Dame has a lot of talent, and maybe not necessarily as elite in certain areas where you would want to be skill position wise. But
Mm-hmm.
I just think they can make a gritty, tough game, force DJ into mistakes, which he's obviously shown he can be susceptible to this season. Um, then I definitely think if that were to happen, we'll see Klubnik, and I want to say they're due. Clemson is due for one of these tough losses. They've been asking for it. I think they get it this week. I'm with you, man. I'm going the other way on this one. Notre Dame at home.
Notre Dame at home.
Yeah.
All right. All right, man. So we go to the last game because these last two games we just did are night games. That Tennessee at Georgia game is at 2:30. Be kicking off here in probably a couple of hours here. But these last two games, Notre Dame and Clemson, and this one LSU and Bama. Bama's traveling to Baton Rouge, the Death Valley, to play the LSU Tigers. Both teams coming off a bye. LSU's playing much better of late than they've played early. They lost their initial game to Florida State on the kickoff classic on Labor Day, I believe that was. And they kind of was finding their way with Daniels. Jaden Daniels is the quarterback. He's kind of finding his way. They got receivers, Butte. I know that dude, he's going to be playing on Sundays. And it was a matter of whether this guy could actually find him or not. And go ahead, man.
No. It's still a matter. It's been a matter all season, but
yeah. But they've played a lot better of late, and they lost to Tennessee. But of course, who hasn't lost to Tennessee this year, right? Who has not lost to the Vols, right? So I think they lost like 43-24 or something like that. I mean, it was a an impressive win. Against them, but that's their only two losses: to Florida State and to Tennessee, and they've won some games, beat Ole Miss and beat Mississippi State, and they got a showdown after this after Thanksgiving against Texas A&M, which is kind of underwhelmed a little bit lately. So they're coming off a bye. They're playing Bama. Bama has not played as well as I'd like for them to play. Defense has had some slippage. Just not a lot of attention to detail for my understanding. For my taste hasn't been there. A lot of things are missing. A lot of discipline is missing. Jumping off sides. They can't cover him, so I'm gonna hold him. A lot of that stuff that you used to never see in a Nick Saban coach team. You're seeing a lot of it. The Tennessee game was 17 penalties against. I think it was against Texas. It was like 15 penalties. There's just a lot of undisciplinedness. Now, when they I don't even know that's a word. Against Mississippi State, which they played a couple of weeks ago, was a little bit better. I think they had like 5-6 penalties. That was okay. We can work with that. Okay. But maybe in this off week, maybe that's been communicated to them that, look, man, our margin for error is not as big as it used to have been in past years. We don't have a Devontae Smith. We don't have a Jerry Jeudy or Henry Ruggs or Jalen Waddle. But we got some good receivers, not great. We got one great back instead of four, like what we used to have in times past. So our attention to detail has to be better. We can't beat ourselves. We can't go 10 penalties and still beat other teams now. We have to play almost not a perfect game, but we can't have a 10-15 penalty game and beat a lot of these teams. So maybe that's been communicated to them. It's going to be a good game. And anybody knows me knows I don't have a lot of confidence in Bill O'Brien. I think he coaches a very vanilla offense, one where it's sort of like you just go out and run your route. He doesn't throw a lot of, as the announcers like to say, window dressing, to make you think one thing. And when we're doing this, he don't do a whole lot of that. He said, no, we're running the go route on this one, the curl on this one, and the comeback on that one. And just matter whether we execute it or not. Other teams are like, okay, we're doing this, but we want to make think we're doing that. So you hesitate for a second, and this guy gets open. That's what the good coaches are able to do. And I don't think he does that to a good degree. And many times it makes Bryce have to work extra hard to get plays working because it's almost like sandlot football. Okay, a guy ain't open. Okay, cut back this way and turn around and go that way, and I'll sprint and buy 5 extra seconds to throw it. I mean, that's not good football to me, man. That's like, So I got Bama, but I want to see how they play. I got them. I said that word salad to say I got Bama because I'm always going to have Bama. It would take like a lot for me to pick against Bama in any context. They could have 8 players against 11. I'm picking Bama. If I didn't know, I'm picking Bama come H or H. So I got them, but man, I think LSU, they got a week off too. I think they're gonna be prepared, man. We're gonna have to play our best game to beat them today. But I got Bama winning by maybe a field goal.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but Alabama got Ole Miss next week.
I think it's next week. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So in other words, it's a trap game.
I don't know if it's a trap game or not. LSU got a chance to win that thing too. If they only got one conference loss, so it ain't really a trap game. These are some tough 2 games Bama got to play.
Okay. I won't characterize
it a trap game because I think Ole Miss would be under LSU because they beat them.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to throw something out there to rattle the cage a little bit and see, check the temperature. So yeah. So my thing is, which we won't call it a trap game, but this is one of those games, man, where we know and look, this is LSU Death Valley at night. We know historically what that means. It's gonna be raucous in Baton Rouge. So the thing about it on the field, I think this is Alabama. This is their opportunity to really sort of, when we talk about the CFP, this is their opportunity to sort of say, hey, man, we, don't forget about us.
Right.
And I say that to say because on the other side, you have Jaden Daniels, who you got to speed him up because he's been why I've kind of been off on LSU all season. I picked against them several times, and they proven me wrong. Excuse me. But it's just I watched their games. I watched most of their games this year, and I just watch it, and it's like Jaden Daniels just has such a tendency to give up on passing plays and tuck. And I'm like, I just don't know how long that's going to last.
One read and take off.
He's a one read and tuck kind of guy. I just didn't feel like that was going to lead to a lot of success this year. Now, to his credit and the team's credit, like I said, they won games I've actually thought they were going to lose. So, I'm not taking anything away from them at this point. It's just that I think this is an opportunity for Alabama, Will Anderson, to really say, hey, man, we're going to flex our muscle a little bit, and we're going to get after these guys in Baton Rouge, a night game, all eyes on us. We need to make a statement here. And I would hope they come out with that type of intensity. Because offensively for Alabama, to your points already, I won't even like expound too much. They haven't been what we've come to know Alabama as offensively in the Nick Saban era, especially most recently, the past 7, 8 years. You know, elite talent, top tier offense, offensive production. Not necessarily that this season, you know, but they do have many talented players, skill position players. They have Bryce Young. He is the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. So, we have to respect that, but we do know that they can be had in that way. They can also be had in like a discipline, which you've already pointed out. It's just a Alabama team this year that can be had in ways that they usually can't. And
Yeah.
so, generally speaking, I want to just go Bama here. The thing about Kayshon Boutte is probably outside of maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. and maybe that's it, honestly. As far as
I know you like that kid from Missouri.
well, he's a freshman, so he's got a ways to go.
Yeah.
But as far as just talent, I think Kayshon Boutte is one of the top 2 or 3 receivers in the country, talent wise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very disappointing to see a guy like that be
not get his opportunities
and not get enough opportunities with the ball in his hands. And it's kind of like, there's no excuse, man. It's kind of like you got to find ways to get that guy the ball. Sorry. It's like the Odell Beckham thing, you know, like, yeah, well, you get paid the money, you put the time in, you got to figure a way to get the guy the ball, man. I really don't care to hear how you can't get your best player the ball. It don't make sense to me.
Right.
You know, that's been like one of my major concerns is like you have one of the premier receivers in the country, one of the most talented receivers, and you just can't seem to get him involved. Now, to their credit, like I said, they found ways to win despite that.
Right.
But if I'm him, Kayshon Boutte tonight, like this is my moment, man. We playing Bama, we at home, all eyes on us.
Everybody watching.
I want the ball tonight. Like that one read and tuck, we can't. Come on, man, we can't do that tonight. I need the ball.
Right.
So
right. And maybe in this off week, maybe they put together some stuff that they can take advantage of an Alabama secondary that kind of has been hemorrhaging a little bit. Helms was, I don't know if he got any behind left after Tennessee. I mean, he had to buy a smaller size of pants because he didn't have enough behind to hold him up now. He got burnt so bad, man. You like that one, huh? Yeah, he got burnt. I mean, he went to the sideline. His pants was just smoking, man. Like, come on, dude. Him, Jordan Battle, they got toasted pretty good.
I know people are high on McKinstry. I think they call him Juice McKinstry or Kool-Aid. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Kool-Aid McKinstry. I know people are high on him. Kind of want to see him challenge a little more. But I mean, to your point, that very susceptible secondary is what's in front of Boutte, so he's got to be wanting the ball tonight. And I've been elongating it. I'm going LSU, and if they burn me, they burn me, man. But I'm going LSU tonight. It's in LSU. I normally would always pick Alabama no matter what, but they don't, to me, have the Nick Saban advantage this season, man. It's just
that they usually have had, right?
Just don't have that to me this year. So, I mean, I would love for them to prove me wrong tonight, but if we pick him, and I think LSU finds a way to win that game somehow. It's just the home field advantage, man. So,
I ain't mad at that pick at all, because I mean that's obviously an opportunity for them to do that, and I think Alabama is a little susceptible. And you mentioned Will Anderson. Now, Will Anderson's going to have to. He's not had the season everybody projected him out to be. And I felt like a lot of the season he was pressing to try to live up to what everybody was saying he was supposed to be. He was going to be Derek Thomas, who's a guy. The Alabama career had like 50 sacks in a college career. That's like unheard of.
Look, I got a thing I want to say if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Because I obviously watch every Bama game, so I've been watching them all year, and he's not big. Like so it's like he has the frame of a Micah Parsons without that same explosiveness. And so I found that interesting because it's like it kind of makes sense to me why you see him disappear at times. Because, he doesn't have a size advantage, and at least consistently, he doesn't have like that supreme elite burst and acceleration of a Micah Parsons or a Derek Thomas or Lawrence Taylor off the edge. It's like, well, they might not be the biggest guy, but good luck.
Right.
It's like their explosiveness is just ridiculous. And it's like, he doesn't seem to have that, but he does seem to have enough of it that I think it's just motor, man. Like, do you have enough motor to go with the talent, the skill set that you do clearly have? And it's like, I think it's a motor thing for him, man, because I don't think he has Micah Parsons type of burst, but he's Micah Parsons size. Kind of like,
they're roughly the same size, 6'4", 243.
He has to win in the motor department to me. So I know that's kind of more like an assessment about the draft and all of that.
Right.
Tonight is his opportunity, man, with a quarterback that you wanna get some burst around that edge, because you want to keep him right there.
Right.
You know his tendency. I look and I don't see it immediately. I'm gone.
Right. I'm gone. Right.
You want to keep that guy right there in that pocket.
Right.
And collapse that pocket on him and get to him and keep him from slipping out the back door.
It's jumping out the window. I think what you're talking about in terms of Will Anderson is the relentlessness, because when we talk about Micah Parsons, it's relentless. He's relentless. Even at the next level, he's relentless. He's coming every play. He gets held every play.
He does. But here's my thing about it.
He gets held every play.
Yeah, he's a beast, man. But it's like Micah Parsons is that size. He's one of the fastest people on the field.
Yeah.
That's who's coming off the edge.
Yeah.
The guy who's probably the best athlete on the field and probably top 2 fastest. He's probably faster than most of your skill position players on the other side. You got a guy with that type of speed, burst, accelerate. I mean, it's ridiculous. And it's like, is Will Anderson that? No, but who is? But it's like, so where is he going as far as this guy being the number 1 pick in the draft? Like, where do you draw that type of intrigue? And it's like, it would have to be the motor department for me, man. Like, is he, and to your point, is he going to be relentless enough to, have his way?
Right.
And it's potential is there. He's got the talent. So whether he can do it, it's a good time to do it tonight.
Tonight he needs to plant his flag in the ground tonight.
Yeah.
If he's that dude tonight, he needs to be Will Anderson, a top 5 pick in the draft. He needs to be that dude, not the non-factor he was against Tennessee, which I didn't even know he played. I'm like, was he injured that game? Because I never heard his name mentioned.
Yeah, they did a good job bottling him up. I think the next 2 weeks, not just this week, but also next week with that creative lane kicking offense, these are 2 weeks for him to really, like you said, plant his flag. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man, I went the other way, but I've become a by association Bama fan to a degree. So I kind of always want them to win, but we'll see, man. I just can't have that Bama confidence. I know that all year Bama got that. This year, I can't. I made that mistake in the Tennessee game, just having that Bama take care of that.
And they didn't.
That way.
Yeah. Everything is until it isn't. I learned that's one of my life. That's one of my life lessons. Everything is until it isn't.
There's a truth for you.
I think that works in a lot of. That works in a lot of categories. Everything is until it's not. Right. But I think we've had some conversations earlier as we close this video. You said, "Yeah, Fred, I see some chinks in Bama's armor, man. I see some chinks." And me being the ultimate bomb, oh no, I ain't seeing that. And I started saying, dang, they really ain't getting what they used to get. And it's a lot of reasons for that. And it's a lot of for that. And but we'll see. Maybe the week off they'll get it right, and we'll see what happens, man.
Hey man, yeah, I do expect them to show up.
Yeah,
I definitely expect them to show up tonight.
Yeah.
Be a good game. Be a good game.
In closing, just want to make this note. Last week in our picks, I picked 7 games. TK picked 6 games because he abstained from the Iron Bowl, from the Magic City Classic. But we picked 5 college Division I games and 1 HBCU game. I think it was Jackson State to Southern. And you'll be glad to know that my man TK went 6-0.
Yo. Oh.
Golf clap.
Wow.
Went 6-0. He won all 6 of his games, all 6 of them, because he went Tennessee. I went Kentucky. I think he went Ohio State. I went Penn State. Those were my 2 losses, and of course, I lost in the Magic City Classic. So I'm always gonna pick A&M because I couldn't live here at the house if I picked somewhere else than A&M. So, so I picked them. I'd have to move and I'd be coming to stay with you or something, man. But anyway, so I went 4-3 in my 7. He went 6-0. So we'll see how our picks go next week, man. TK, man, it's been a pleasure to talk about this week's sports and talk about some life things, man. Because sports is bigger than just sports, and I think we put that thing in what they call perspective. And so going forward, just kind of look at sports as in that lens, rather than the end all, the be all that we kind of make it out to be. So any parting shots?
Nah, never no parting shots, man. Happy football Saturday to everybody. Enjoy college football like we plan to. As usual, man. Appreciate you having me.
All right. Appreciate you lending us your perspectives, man. Like I said, we were blessed to be able to have that today to add to what our content. So that we blessed to have that. But that's all I got from the desk, Uncle Fred. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and become a part of the Uncle Fred Sports Experience. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. That's all we got for this week. We'll catch you guys next week.